Hello everyone, Drake Robinson here. Uh, Apologies for the absence, but I wanted to come back and I wanted to come back strong. And I heard this story with this actress Hayden panettiere, who you may have heard from. I know her from the Scream movies, really, and that's about it. And Kingdom Hearts, I did like that show. Um, and that Until Dawn game, I used to play some video games to help cope with the crappy existence I was living in. I still live in, but you know, I don't play games anymore. But that's where I know her from. And apparently, she was in a couple of other shows. I'm not gonna name them all, but apparently, she was pretty much the big thing back in the day. She was in the early 2000s to late 2000s. She was pretty much a hot commodity. Everyone wanted her. She was everywhere. She was in the spotlight. She had TV shows, all this stuff. Now she's kind of faded into existence. But now, she's past her prime, if you will. She's remember that Bop It, um, uh, Bop It game thing back in 2009. She's pretty much that. She's an old relic of the past. And I hate to say that like that, but I'm gonna say it like that because this is the fact that she's faded from relevancy. Um, but now she's back with uh this new book that she put out, this memoir of her career, her life, etc. And she did an interview with some podcast, like a 2 hour long interview, where she pretty much exposed everything. I didn't watch the whole interview. I watched some of it, but like I don't know. Yeah, it just felt a little performative to me. Um, and apparently, she also recently came out as bisexual, which is something no one ever knew up until literally a couple of days ago. There was no hints on that. There was no, and people are gonna say, well, maybe she was just hiding it. Well, I mean, at some point, if you're bisexual and you're into chicks, like, why not come out sooner? Like, now in this modern era where pretty much everyone can be attracted to anything, could be attracted to a freaking light pole or some shit, or a duck, or the mice that live underneath your crawl space. Like, everything's pretty much accepted as normal in this weird backward society. So, like, you could have came out sooner with this. It seemed like a ploy to try to sell her book. In my opinion, that seems like trying to get the cheap pop, as they say. So that was a little, I don't know, it just felt a little weird. And then she was talking about, but I don't know, something about her just seems a little phony. I mean, I just, especially when she was talking about her daughter, and she's with Vladimir Klitschko, and how she went through this horrible postpartum depression and all that. And I can be empathetic to that. Being the good guy I am, I can be very empathetic to that. Sympathetic, I'm sorry, I can't empathize because I've never been through postpartum depression. I've been very depressed as a good guy growing up in this modern dark world. But I'm a good guy, and I say, but the weird thing is that she talks about it in such a cavalier way, and she's saying that people who think that she just abandoned her daughter, she took 4 or 5 years off of acting, because she was so consumed with postpartum depression and all that. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of females out there who's been through the same thing. They don't just up and get rid of their daughters, essentially, you know? She's saying that, and the father has full custody of the daughter. She lives in Ukraine, by the way. from what I understand. And she and Hayden's like, we chat on FaceTime, and I see her occasionally when I go and visit. But like, that's not being a mom. That's not being, someone who's supposed to be there for their child. To drop their child off at school, or pick them up and talking to them about their day, or maybe God, or maybe they have a bully or something. That's time that and she's been living with her dad for like 6 years or so now, since 2018. So that's about actually 7 or 8 years now. 8 years now. So, and her daughter's like what, 11, 12. So that's time that's not going to get back. Her daughter may end up growing up and resenting her, because of this kind of like, because of this supposed, time she needed off. But, she only took 4 years off, but she came back to acting as soon as possible once the other Scream movie, Scream 6, I think, Scream 5 or 6 came out. She wanted to be a part of that. So she was more willing to get back into the acting scene than she was wanting to be a mom to her daughter. I mean, that tells you everything right there. Like, she's an opportunist, in my opinion. She'll leech onto the bandwagon if it's beneficial to her. Like, that just gave off weird vibes. Just saying that she said this herself in an interview. She was like, when Scream 5 came around, I wanted to be a part of that, even though I was taking this time off from acting supposedly to work on myself. Once I found out they were making another Scream movie without me, I wanted to be a part of that again. I'm just like, well, wait, don't you have a daughter who you gave up custody to, who is living? I get that acting's your job and all that, but like, shouldn't your family come first? Like, that just gives off very modern female blue pillar mindset of only caring about yourself, forget everyone else. And I don't know, I don't know, maybe that is a very weird thing to say, in my opinion. And there was all this other stuff about being bullied and stuff. Listen, I've been bullied. It sucks, but I'm sure you weren't bullied half as much. You being a privileged person, hey, you weren't bullied half as much as I was, or all of us who are watching this video right now are all the good guys, my fellow good guys. We experience real bullying. You experience what? I'm sure you're a child star. I'm sure whatever teachers you have, and you live this very fortunate, privileged life. So I don't want to hear about any struggles, like, as far as bullying goes, because like, we all get that. Us good guys get it the worst, but I'm sure a lot of your fellow celebs, like, probably gotten some worse than that. So I don't know. It just seemed like she was making up. And also, she was saying something about when she was 18, she was also like forced to, like, kind of to be with like an older dude, which sucks. I don't advocate for that at all, especially. But well, I mean, 18, well, no, because even 18, like, yeah, you're an adult, but still young. So like, I don't know, maybe it's the people around her that suck as well, but like, she definitely is not helping her case when she makes comments like that. But about, not giving up her child willingly, and she was going through all this stuff, but like, wanting to jump back into the acting pool as soon as, the latest Scream movie came out, and they were doing it without her. So that just sounds a little weird, that you were willing to come back to the public spotlight, but not willing to be there for your child. That's really what really got me, this whole Hayden panettiere situation. The bisexual thing just came out of left field. Like, where did that come from? Since when was she ever bisexual in any way? I don't know. This whole thing is weird. I don't know. I may follow up on it. I may not. But y'all let me know. Just Hayden Panettiere chips. She just seems like an opportunist to me. Like if anything's out there hot, like the Scream movie or coming out as gay in this modern era or whatever, but yet you won't be there for your child. I don't know. Just to try and telling all these stories about being dropped like from Neutrogena because of postpartum depression and all that. It just seems like opportunists to sell a book. To sell a book, That's what that gives off to me. Just trying to sell a book, you know. I don't know. This is very weird, but y'all let me know. I'm out.